I wanted to be a SEAL so that I could kick down doors and do bad things to bad people, period.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Inspire. We're lucky enough this time to have Jared Ogden with us. Jared is a retired Navy SEAL and the current CEO of Triumph Systems. We had a great time sitting down with him and learning a lot more. Hope you enjoy this episode of Inspire.
Today, we're going to talk about Jared and what makes him tick.
Should be interesting.
So we know all about Triumph Systems and it as an up-and-coming company in the training world. Take me back prior to you joining the Navy. What were you doing? Where were you? And what inspired you to join the Navy?
So I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've always had a sense of, adventure and have always loved the outdoors. And my dad is a Vietnam Air Army Ranger. And so, coming up as a kid, I had some of those stories. It was nothing that my dad or my mom would glamorize. My parents wanted for me to do something that I would enjoy. So when this military, when I wanted to join the military, and there's not really a pinpoint moment in my life where I was like, I want to be a Navy SEAL. I cannot articulate that point to you. I just know from a very young age, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Now, growing up, the closest thing that I knew to a Navy SEAL was my cousin, 7 years older than me, and he wasn't a Navy SEAL. He was a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy, and he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. So he is the closest thing that I knew to that world. And so,
you would hear stories from him?
I would hear stories from him. I was in middle school, he was at the Naval Academy, and that is really why I set my sights on the Naval Academy, because I knew if Clint can do it this way, well, shoot, so can I. So, looking back and knowing what I know now, statistically, that's probably the most challenging way to become a Navy SEAL, to go to the Naval Academy and then do it that way. But, all things considered, I would not change my approach, how I did it, one bit. So I went to the Naval Academy and graduated class of 2000, was initially commissioned as an ensign and went to the surface fleet. Spent a year, getting my pen, and then lat transferred into Naval Special Warfare, went to BUDS, graduated class 265. From there, went on an augment, went on a very kinetic deployment with SEAL Team 1, spent some time at Naval Special Warfare Unit 3 in Manama, Bahrain. That was a more administrative deployment, if you will. And as an officer, it's just one of those things. Your shelf life, your operational shelf life, is less than my enlisted brother. And so quickly, for every day that I was in, I was that much further removed from the very reason why I joined. I wanted to be a SEAL so that I could kick down doors and do bad things to bad people, period. And as an O, you get a few chances at it, and then your job turns into more management, more administrative. And so after my first staff job, I said, you know what, I've had a great time, but I'm going to move on.
Back to the SEAL stuff, because that fascinates most people,
Sure.
including myself.
Because you're a fanboy?
Because, as everyone knows, civilian guys like me, again, you don't get to meet guys that were door kickers very often. And so when you do, you ask these questions. Was there a moment that you ever questioned joining the SEALs? Were you ever in a situation where you said, for even a damn instant, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? Did that ever happen?
This is something that you work so hard to achieve, and then when you get to, and I have several moments of truth where in the present, in the moment, you're not thinking about anything, you're just reacting. And then it's afterwards, maybe when the helicopter picks you up and you're on your way back to the fob, or after you've done the after action and you think about what just happened and you have time to process it, where you're like, man, that was close. I almost ate it on that one. But to answer your question, no. And the reason why is it's this simple: because it's worth it. Because I know why I'm there, and my mentality when I went through BUDS was, I will get through this program or I will die trying. I mean, that's how bad.
And that's where you were.
That's how bad I wanted it. Yeah.
Well, to piggyback off of Kevin's question, I've always wondered, you know, those of us standing from the outside looking in, or those of us that have dreams of becoming SEALs, is it what we think it is? Once you've gone through, you've finished all the training, you get the trident, you're a SEAL, you're assigned a team. Is it what you thought it would be?
So it all depends upon one's reference point. For me, you know, I was commissioned in 2004. My first set of orders was to a ship in San Diego, where all the West Coast SEALs are. And so I had a year and a half before, once I moved to San Diego as a surface warfare officer, and before I checked into BUD/S, to meet other SEALs.
Okay.
So my reference point was very real. My reference point was very raw. And keep in mind, you know, I was talking to guys who have been on already at this point in 2004, 2005, back-to-back deployments. So there's no sugarcoating, you know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, my advice to those who want to pursue this as a profession, first of all, it's a lifestyle, very much so. And, you know, go straight to the source. I know it's difficult to do, but where there's a will, there's a way. And best advice came from a friend, Brendan Looney, who passed away. He's my Naval Academy classmate, and we went to BUD/S together. And the best advice that he gave to, you know, someone that was going into the BUD/S program, and I'll be polite, these are not the exact words he said, but he said it's simple. Don't quit and don't be a wimp. He didn't say wimp, but we'll keep it clean. I know kids are watching.
You mentioned some of your teammates, and I know that along the way you've lost what you would consider brothers and friends. How tough is it being in your 30s and knowing that you've lost great men off this earth fighting this fight that you guys fought? What's that like?
Nothing prepares you to bury a friend, and you're friends with him and his family, and you know his parents and his siblings and his kids and wife, and so it goes pretty deep. But nothing prepares you. Although we know that this is inherently dangerous, and we're all proud of what we do and the sacrifices that we make. Of course, nobody wants this, but it's our job as their brothers to continue to carry forward their mission. In a big way of doing that is just perpetuating their legacy. And we do that in different forms and fashions, with T-shirts and with events, and you know, dedicating a bridge and you know, things like that. But that's a way that we can let the family, who's really hurting the most, know that their son's sacrifice was not forgotten. You know, and it's challenging, but I try to keep in touch with the families of my dead friends. You know, and I guess I'll say it this way. I look forward to crossing over, because I know they'll be waiting for me on the other side with a cold beer, and we will tell stories. So there's a happy ending to it.
Any big dreams?
Any big dreams?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I my entire childhood and growing up, because I set my sights on being a Navy SEAL when I was a kid, and trying to create this plan. How am I going to get from here to there? And that involved the Naval Academy. And you know, for 20 years, that was my dream, to become a Navy SEAL, and I finally did. And throughout those 2 decades or so, I never thought about life post Navy SEAL. That was kind of the end-all be-all. So then you transition out of the Navy, and it's like, all right, what next? And so as I'm a contractor, I'm asking, what is next? And it took me 3 years to figure it out. And now I have. And it's called Triumph Systems, and it's consumer products, and it's in a space that I love. And, you know...
crossing over into the consumer business world.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and it's a different kind of pressure. And I've looked over my business partners before and said, man, how much easier would it be if we could just get in a gunfight right now? Because at least I feel like I have more control and influence in a gunfight than some of these conversations that we have. It is absolutely rewarding to be a job provider. And we are a small company. I quit my job 15 months ago to start Triumph Systems, and now we employ 10 people. And man, that is amazing. It truly is a really cool thing, and it's a real responsibility. And I have so much respect for all these small businesses, because I mean, let's face it, the government is not our friend.
Right.
They are taking way too much in taxes. There are way too much regulations. There's way too much red tape. But we're doing it. We're figuring out a way. The market is validating what we're doing because they're buying our stuff.
Most people, you walk into a restaurant and you're a big stature guy with a beard, and Triumph System shirt, flag on the shirt. Most people would look at you and I think you're pretty rough and tough dude. That being said, is there anything that in your past you were terrified of in this lifetime, or is there anything that right now you're scared of?
I think fear is not necessarily a bad thing. When fear starts to dictate how decisions are made, that is not a good thing. But maybe fear is too strong the word.
Okay.
But what we don't want is complacency. And so you always want to push yourself. You always want to be challenged, and you don't want to fail. So I guess to sum it up, if there's something that I'm fearful of, it is failure. And what's the way to not fail? Do your homework, do your mission planning. Get out there in the case of Triumph Systems. And by the way, there's so many parallels between planning and executing a special operations mission. You name it, direct action raid or special reconnaissance or whatever it is. There's a lot of similarities and parallels between planning and executing a mission on a kinetic level with bringing a concept to market. If there's one thing I'm afraid of, it's failure. But there's ways to mitigate it. So, it keeps me on track, it keeps me on point, but I'm not fearful of it.
So as you've transferred over to the business world, so to speak, are there any people that have inspired you business-wise? Is there any people that you've looked at that aren't military, that are out there doing something that have shown you or helped you or inspired you at all?
The best advice that I got, and actually I think I shared this with your daughter last night, the best advice, because she's going into high school and starting to think about college and what I want to do. So when I was transitioning out of the Navy, in a lot of ways, I was kind of like her, trying to figure out what do I really want to do when I grow up. The best advice that I got was the more that you can align what you enjoy doing with what you're good at, with what someone will pay you to do, the more successful and happy you will be. So that was sound advice. Beyond that, I've been inspired by Steve Wynn, for example. He's got a couple great podcasts out there, and arguably he is the world's most successful business person, alive right now.
Not just developer.
I mean, he's just a brilliant he's a genius in business, and I've heard him speak before, and I've heard the podcast, and really just appreciate the things he says and the way that he does business.
Well, Jared, how old are you?
I am 35 years old.
35. And you started Triumph in the last 3-4 years?
15 months.
15 months ago. So, based on your experience, is it ever too late to start something new in life?
Absolutely not. The day that I stop starting new things is the day that I die. I'm the kind of person that, I love working, and I truly believe that about myself. It's never too late to start something new. It's never too late to learn. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. I actually, in addition to Triumph Systems, I just applied for and was accepted into an executive MBA program. And the reason I did that is because we're making decisions. The management team at Triumph Systems is making decisions every single day, many of which impact, long-term stuff and the exit and the sale of the company. And the reason I want to expand my knowledge base in business is so that I can help arrive at some of these creative solutions fast. And I have a solid knowledge base when it comes to small unit tactics and combat, and I've seen it save lives. And knowledge is power, especially when you share it. So that's why I'm going to school for this executive program, so that I can get that knowledge base. There's a lot of things I don't know, and I want to learn because I know my team will benefit with more knowledge.
Outstanding. I'm one of those guys who loves to preach. The more you know, the more informed you are, the better prepared you are in life.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Kevin, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask Jared?
It's been fantastic listening to your story. Thanks for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. any words of inspiration going forward for everybody that's out there watching the show?
Hey, if you got a dream, come up with a plan. Don't just think about it. Come up with a plan and execute. You'd be amazed when you put your mind to something, you can do it.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Inspire. Jared, thanks again, brother. It was awesome to see you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next
Appreciate
time. Swell.
Brother.
As always,
Good
it was
stuff.
fun with you, bro.
For sure.
Yep. I'm inspired. Are you?
All right, guys. I'm going to where I'm most comfortable. The water.
Talk to you.
See you later.
That looks so refreshing. You got
Would you
I'm
say that
35 years old, disease-free, and very available, ladies.
you can do that?
Cloud just pause.
Okay, cool.
All that stuff. Documenting my directorial debut.
Oh, sure. We gotta have to make sure you get in the
Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna take a picture of you just
we'll
like
put you
this.
in there. Yeah, without a doubt.
You get the credits.
So it's like clickety click click click.
Give me a QQ.
Gotcha.
And you really can. Shit. I had a brilliant point.
No worries. Sometimes I ramble one line too long.
Is it like you just did?
Sometimes. Tax one. Guarding the door.
Kevin makes me speechless sometimes too.
Little man. Little guy, the Smurf. Papa Smurf.
It ain't gonna happen.
Dude, can you imagine?
If his face grew anything like his belly, his shit would be dynamic. But it's all on his belly and his ass.
It's on my,
it's
it's on my chest.
Damn.
3, 2, and.
It's always something.
That's right.
So you guys are gonna stay here, talk, and then
Yep.
Yes.
It's always the awkward part on set. Come
Right on. You're rocking.
Yeah, makes it a little bit more awkward. We shouldn't be doing that when the camera's on.
That's okay. If you're a seal, it's okay.
should never do that when we're around.
I know, right?
Silent
Is that going to
memes.
make outtakes?
That's
Silent
it.
memes.
Be the 15-second clip on my Instagram. It's a seal, you're okay. They're just gonna be like, break the internet.